What's up, guys? Welcome to the Esports Journal Origins. Today we're here with Boffers. My name's Abe, and we're going to be talking about how he got into Call of Duty scene and where he's gone from there. So let's start from the basics. How old are you now?
I've actually just turned 18 this year in April. I guess the next question is going to be when I started as well. Dear, that was a long time ago. It's Black Ops 2 times, so it's probably about 7 years now that I've been in esports, I think.
So
Or in and around.
is that like esports, or were you playing COD pubs, or how was the whole COD thing settled in?
Black Ops 2 was kind of an awakening. I did discover competitive Call of Duty at the end of Modern Warfare 3 as just kind of like a thing that I stumbled across when I found Twitch. In Black Ops 2, it kind of took off for me. Like, I kind of really enjoyed my time trying to play it, ranks play, and then that kind of developed into getting into GB forums and on teams and such as well. I did actually find myself doing reasonably well for a random 13-year-old kid, because I found a guy who was a little bit older than me who actually managed to kind of mentor me a bit and tone some of the wild immaturity of some of the younger people down a stuff that you generally have at that age, the mad ego, thinking you can do everything. And yeah, I think that's kind of a big step for me. And I played up until Advanced Warfare. I didn't really have any aspirations of doing anything else. It was kind of a hobby. I took some time out at the end of Black Ops 2 and started Ghosts, where I kind of reset myself and just played Ghosts with IRLs and tried to grind that up. And then Advanced Warfare is where it kind of came into fruition. And that's kind of where I kind of took my back seat on the 31st of October in Advanced Warfare, which would have been like 2015. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. So that's when I officially quit playing. I remember it because I made a twit longer about it, and that was when I kind of pushed on Void stuff.
So quite a long time ago then. So three years
now.
Now
It is. You're making me feel a little bit old now, dude.
I mean, Advanced Warfare was a while ago, man.
It was now, yeah.
So you started out in competitive as a player, and then you transitioned into casting, obviously. So was that
casting was a lot later?
Yeah, a lot later. That's where I was about to go with this. So,
yeah, I started casting actually. The first cast I ever did was a lot of people who watch this, if they watch it, who played Xbox One Call of Duty back in Black Ops 3, would remember that myself, under the banner of Void, ran a league with an organization at the time which was called Demonic Army. Now, anyone who knows Demonic Army will also know the story of how I came to be really good friends with Carbon as well, and how we work on Void together to this day.
So is Carbon the owner of Void? Yeah, is he a co-owner?
Yeah, he's kind of always been. Yeah, he's been in and out doing university stuff, and just kind of always been like my right hand man to a lot of different things. He's one of the best people I've come across in esports. Definitely a reliable guy, and he's just all sorts of amazing. But we ran this league with Demonic, which was owned by a gent called Billy at the time. And we ran this league called the DVL, the Demonic Void League was what it stood for. And the course of that league was basically, as PS4 was now the dominant console for Call of Duty esports, we wanted to try and make something that would have been prominent for Xbox One youth players, because we felt like we'd been left behind. I didn't have a PS4 at this point. I was just
not just an easy jump to go straight from Xbox to PS4. Just getting rid of Xbox, maybe find extra cash. You're all kids as well in the AM scene. It's not that easy. So
I was 15, 16 at the time. So it was a couple of years ago now, and I ran this DVL, and it was really going really well. We did 3 qualifiers for it to determine the 12 teams that we wanted to invite to the league, which were going to be all cast. There was no prize pool to it. People were just really interested in it because it was fresh, it was casted. It had a lot of good backing and support from it as well, from a lot of different organizations. Everyone kind of wanted to be in it at the time, and it did gain a lot of traction. We actually, on one of the final qualifiers, or on the first week of the broadcast, we got about 250 viewers or something like that. So it was really going quite well for an Xbox One league. And I did my first cast on that qualifier. I thought, right, well, I've always kind of fancied myself as a caster. I've always felt like I've got the voice for it. I've always done theatre and drama and acting and that kind of business. So I had the persona. Yeah, I had the persona and the acting for it. And I just figured I'd give it a go. And I solo casted, and it went really well. People seemed to like it. And it all fell apart when Taylor Ritchie, who was Heavens, one of the owners of Void at the time, he was kind of someone I'd worked with very closely for that period in time. He's now doing his own thing, something very different. He kind of did a little bit of rigging, which a lot of people will remember. It's quite famous in the sense that, yeah, it wasn't. And then the whole thing got exposed, and I was away on holiday with my girlfriend, who I was with at the time. And basically, it all fell apart while I was away. I had no control over any of it. I had no idea much of it was happening. And then I got a text from Josh saying, this whole thing's gone to shit. And I was like, what the hell do you mean? Billy's taken the account, everything's gone to hell, and we just kind of dropped it off the face of the earth. So at that point, I was kind of dead in the water for casting for a
Was that the end of the Xbox stuff? Is that you moving on from that point?
The time that whole scene, that league ended, it killed off the Xbox scene completely because no one just wanted to play anything anymore.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the end of that for about a year and a half, I think, was the next time I casted after that.
So casting, obviously, on Xbox One, a lot of a different scenario than PS4, which is obviously more eyes on the PS4 at the time, bigger console, more players, and obviously the Xbox is probably going to only be watching from Xbox. So transitioning to PS4, was it immediate casting? Was it you thinking about casting, or did you even go straight to PS4? Did you stick on Xbox for a while?
I stayed on Xbox pretty much throughout the course of the Infinite Warfare season. At the end of Infinite Warfare, kind of as it was starting to tail off just before Champs, I got a second-hand PS4, which the controller still doesn't work on to this day, but I don't really play it.
I can relate. I got a second-hand PS4 for my birthday last year. The sticks were destroyed. I had to get a new PS4.
Yeah, I can't even sprint with this controller, so I just don't bother playing. So I got that, and I thought, right, okay, everything's going to be fine now. I can cast again. So I tried to cast a Dom. There was a Dom league on at the time in Infinite Warfare, and I tried to cast one of those games. And then I found the issue that my internet is actually the thing that was going to clamp me down until the start of World War II. Infinite Warfare, my internet, I didn't change ISP. It was just a different package that my family became a part of with Virgin Media. And it basically, if I streamed for more than about 45 minutes, I'd get throttled and the whole stream would crash.
Yeah.
So I had to, basically, I pressed them and pressed them and pressed them. Every time this happened, made it sound like it was a big issue. And the whole thing was, they were just screwing me and it hadn't happened before. And eventually, I conned them out of another deal, which is now 300 megabytes downloads and just gravy.
That's a bit of an upgrade, man. You can't really be complaining on that internet if anything's going wrong.
No, I'm not complaining about that. And then, as I could finally have the facility now to cast, and I had everything sorted to do so, I looked at who I could cast with. Now, this is kind of where I met Brody, as it were. I know this is one of the things you want to talk about. You said to me before we got on. So I'll just kind of slide it in. I had done some stuff before for the esports universe when I just had a few odd jobs. Not the esports universe, the esports hub, sorry. With just a few odd jobs and kind of things like that. And I was good friends with the guys who were working there, Johnny and Diomedes and whatever. I've got a good relationship with them. And I said to them, yo, guys, I'm getting back into casting. I've got a PS4, my internet's fixed. I'd like to get on board. And the first broadcast I ever did was on, I think it was World War II, with Brody. Now, they had Brody at the time doing this random tournament to kick off World War II. It was like one of the starter tournaments for the year. And I casted that with Brody, and things just started to go really well. We had a kind of I didn't know who he was at all at the time. We had this kind of really nice synergy that just kind of seemed to roll off each other. And
obviously that sort of thing is that's obviously paid off. If this is the start of the year, you've only started casting properly at the start of the year in terms of PS4 and all these things, then
exactly,
it's kind of skyrocketed for yourself, obviously.
It went really well. It did go really well, and people seemed to enjoy the broadcast who were watching it. It wasn't a particularly well-viewed broadcast at the time. Brody was running the stream because I just kind of hopped on last minute from what I can remember. And it just worked out quite nicely. Me and Brody got talking. We started thinking about, right, this is the start of the year now. What other casters are there out there? At the time, there was Jip, Assassin, Quinn was also trying to do it at the time as well. So there were all these different names out there, and we all kind of agreed on what we wanted to do for the year and, you know, how we were going to contact people, and all kind of ended up falling apart in the end. But that's a different story for a different time. But yeah, that's kind of where it went this year. And this year it kind of started out nicely with the esports universe, who I'm working with now. Kind of got a hold of me, started doing some of their free £150 tournaments that they liked doing, and they got a lot of traction. Got some attention from I think it was Watson and a few other players and stuff like that. So that kind of got me noticed a bit more. And then Val Season 1 came around, which is where a lot of stuff really did go down, and we got like 350 or 370 viewers, and that was kind of where I kind of got skyrocketed. I had this kind of monumental rise throughout the course of the year, and I wasn't expecting to be overtaking casters with the tenure and the experience and the quality of Assassin and Brody within the course of a few months.
And what I find so interesting about that is just like the fact that it's obviously these sorts of things are things that you develop over time. You said you casted in Xbox One, but obviously for not long. So obviously there's a bit of a raw talent there. It's something that you don't just happen to be like good.
I mean, I think that, like you say, the theatre and the drama and stuff plays a big role.
Yeah.
Like,
Obviously,
it's
that's
a lot
fights
of
in life.
confidence.
So would you consider the 350 viewer spike the peak of your career? Is that what you think you're at right now?
It wasn't the peak, because obviously Val season 2 was 409.
Obviously.
But I think it was the catalyst.
Yeah.
To say the least, it was the start. It was kind of where everything took off. Where people noticed me. People started to get really, really behind my casting. I got given the grand final with Brody as one of the first major things that I'd done.
Obviously, I was again as a newcomer, not expected at this point at all.
I was expecting Assassin and Brody to be asked to do that final together, but instead they asked me and Brody to do it because we'd been working together throughout the course of the season. Yeah. And it went so well, and people seemed to like it. People seemed to think I was a breath of fresh air and not this kind of analytical kind of commentator. I'm the kind of excited, hype, play-by-play kind of caster that kind of complements Brody's style, which is a little bit more analytical really well.
And I think that's one of the things Brody necessarily needed, and in the scene in general, just a bit more life in the casting scene. Obviously, there's a lot of casters that do that really well, but I feel like a lot of your work is nice to see with Brody doing it. It's a good contrast within itself, so I appreciate that casting. And I'm sure many people do as well.
Thanks. I really
not trying to get too complimentary here, but
it's really nice to hear. Like, piece of feedback that I received after Val season 1 just kind of made me feel more confident and made me want to do it more. And I never really had any intentions in the end of Black Ops 3 when the Xbox thing fell apart to continue as a caster. I was just going to be an all-owner. But this year, as casting's taken off, my attrition to my dedication to Void's kind of tapered off at a congruent rate because I had school and stuff at the same time. I just finished my A-levels.
We can get into Void in a bit, though. It's not looking like that for the faster weekend.
Not for the past weekend, but that's a different story. So basically, like, Val season 2 came around and everything was great. We did the Easter Cup and the Summer Cup for the esports universe as well, and it's just gone from strength to strength. I feel more comfortable with my casting now. Me and Brody are a package deal. We work on everything together. A lot of the decisions that are made now inside the esports universe are made with us as well, that are with broadcasts. I ran the broadcast for the Val stream as well, which was a new experience, being someone who's not particularly overly familiar with streaming and stuff before as well. Great learning curve, and I think in the way that the stream looked, especially in Val Season 2 with the transitions for the maps and stuff as well, was just really sweet. And as kind of like an amateur caster doing it from my bedroom here, I think I'm proud of what I create, and I'm proud of stuff that I do. And it's always on my mind. I'm always thinking about it. Now we're coming into Black Ops 4. I'm really excited to get going again with more casting stuff. I have this black book of stuff that I just want to write about for esports or how I'm feeling about anything. It's just anything. It's just like a brain splurge. And in it, I've got a section for just like lines I think of while I'm in the shower that I can pull to casts and stuff. It's just like I'm obsessive with my work in that sense. I'm always thinking about the casting element rather than some of the behind the scenes stuff, which is just menial.
And as you should be excited for next year. To be fair, you've done a lot this year. You've achieved a lot this year in terms of casting and really bringing light to the scene in itself. Obviously, IW is a bit of downhill, and it was doing okay, but it's definitely not as well as COD could be doing. Then we go into another lackluster game of World War II, and for top quality casting at the very least, considering a poor game, it's really helpful to make sure that the segue into next year is doing well. And so So that's basically you for the entirety of casting. We're going into Black Ops 4 now. You've obviously got a lot to look forward to that with ESPU, obviously hoping to go further in themselves. But now we get onto Void. Obviously, for those who don't know, would you say co-owner of Void? Is that your refer to yourself?
I owned and founded it.
So sorry, I forgot the guy's name you said before that you said was also
Carbon, who I do with now. He's the guy now. But it was very different when it first started out.
So do you want to tell us about the creation of Void itself? How's that looking?
Okay, it's a whack story, and not a lot of people know the history.
Well, very start.
The very start must have been around 2014. So, Ghost,
okay.
I was playing with competitive GBs with my friend, two of my friends, and Nova, the owner of Radiant.
Yeah.
Now, the owner of Radiant, Nova, he and I have had our differences in the past a number of times. A lot of people will know about that. but we are very good friends now. We're comfortable with each other. I drove him to I-62 and everything. We're all good now. We've matured, as it were. But back then we were good friends, and he actually lives in the same town as me. I know him through friends and stuff like that. I have never really met him personally until I-62, which is weird to think because that was only this year.
It took you driving miles away just to.
He's literally just across town. I can drive there in a matter of minutes. But no, back when we first started, I kind of met him through a friend over Xbox who we were playing with at the time, and we competed together. We competed together through Advanced Warfare as well. But in kind of that time, we actually started Void together with a bunch of different real life friends who we had at the time. And we kind of got them all involved, and some of them are still in and around the scene today, kind of planning on coming back next year. A few of them, one of them, a personal friend of mine called Zoom. Some of the OGs may remember him. But either which way, me and Nova were actually the original co-founders of Void Gaming. Yeah.
Look how that went.
And there was a bit of a split in Advanced Warfare. A lot of shit went very badly wrong. We kind of hated each other for a really long time. It was very personal. And
we're over that.
It was very funny as well. But that's when he went off and made Radiant, and I am so kind of happy and proud of him for the work that he's done there. He has done absolutely magnificent things, and I can't stress it enough. Nova is actually nowadays a really sound guy. But 3 years ago, I wouldn't have said that.
I'm sure he's got the same thing to say about you, man. You can't.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But he's doing bits now, and I'm really, really proud and happy for him. The fact that I could be a part of his journey in esports, and he could be a part of mine. I'm just, it's kind of like a nice story. We've ended up in two separate places, but we're still connected, which I think is kind of nice. But it grew. It grew as I played under it for a while, and then at the end of Warfare on the 31st of October, that's when I decided to fully take a step back out of playing and go for Void.
Sorry, because I figured it cut a little bit there. Do you say Advanced Warfare at the end of Advanced Warfare?
Yeah, Advanced Warfare, 31st of October 2015, which was like the year after we created the organization.
Very specifically.
To the day. I remember it because it's to the day. I kind of decided at that point, after playing under the org for a year and just using it as a name rather than an organization, to really go for it and to really start pushing stuff with it. And I did really kind of well with that throughout the course of the Black Ops 3 season, doing that with DVL and casting. I had a lot of good teams in the scenes that I was surrounded in. And then Black Ops 3 was kind of a year that I found myself growing as someone in esports with knowledge. I researched the crap out of CS, Rocket League, League of Legends, all these different games that are out at the time. I wanted to be a part of them. And I did.
So was the goal initially when you started up with Void necessarily COD, or were you looking at other games, or was it?
When we first started, it was COD, and we didn't really have much of a direction. And then I kind of decided at one point, and it just switched in my head. I thought, I've got to turn this into an esports organization.
And so you went and looked at every esport as opposed to just COD itself again.
Yeah, and I started out in COD, and it was a fantastic stepping stone because there's a lot of stuff in amateur COD to get yourself started on that you can advertise to different teams and players. And it then came into fruition that I started getting CS teams and other ones as well. And one of the primary drivers to get myself into the Counter-Strike community was a really, really great Finnish side that I had for a very long time, led by Hanuri Seta, who's a cracking player who'll probably come up into fruition one day in the Finnish scene. But he and I kind of did really well at kind of pushing Void as a name into the Counter-Strike community a little bit, into the amateur Counter-Strike community. And I think we're reasonably well connected in there now. And obviously Counter-Strike now being my primary esport, moving away from Call of Duty a little bit, it's changing. It's changing. I still always will have better connections in Call of Duty than any esport. I'll always have that. I'll always have my friends, and it'll always be my first love. But with Void, it's something that's kind of been up and down with my commitment and with my motivation for it. And whenever I'm not motivated for it, the staff team that I have around me aren't either. And I like to keep my circle small, so it's always the same people. And it goes through peaks and troughs. And I kind of resign myself to the fact now that I'm aware of this, and that when it peaks, we've got to try and maintain the peak for as long as it can. And we've peaked pretty good lately.
Well, as you say that, you say you're moving out of Call of Duty. That's not probably what most people would expect after this weekend's finish.
I'm not totally moving out. I'm just saying that
I know, I understand.
For me, it's not the only objective.
Yeah.
If Avoid in the future, Counter-Strike and other esports, like another one I really want to get into is Rocket League and all sorts of different esports that are kind of at grassroots at the moment that can build up. I don't want to get into anything with franchising. League of Legends and Overwatch are just too difficult to get into these days. But stuff like that, I don't want COD to be the only objective anymore. But
I just shouldn't. That's how many esports organizations grows, and you're no different. Even if you're still within COD, you obviously need to branch out and look at other options. And so, I respect that. But
COD will always be home.
COD
will always be home. It's like that one pair of socks that you wear when it's just really, and it's just like it's cold outside. You just want to put those thick pair of socks on. It's like Void. COD's like that for Void. It's something that you can always go back to. And even if the team that I have isn't great, I know how to get the best out of them. Like Valve Season 2, I had Tricks, and it was a Vade bot, 2 players who I played on Xbox One in Black Ops 3, and they did really well for themselves, getting top 8 in Valve Season 2 with a pickup team pretty much. And it was a steady growth. It's steady growth, and I've always been kind of in and around with Void, but this year has been much bigger for kind of my personal brand rather than the organization's brand itself.
And obviously, the personal brand's grown significantly. Also, Void, I know a lot of people won't have been. It's a name that sticks out quite nicely in the amateur scene, but the win puts a big name on its back, I guess. A big target on its back for next season too. We'll see. Is that roster still under Void? Is that still?
It was originally created for the sole purpose of winning the Valve playoffs.
Okay.
It was kind of. It was intended to win. We're still flying it about as to what we're going to do with it next season. A lot of the guys in the team obviously are 18 players, so they're going to go off and do their own thing for champs and Vegas and all the different CWL events. So I probably won't be keeping them for that because they'll probably want salarying, and they're all so good players. They deserve salaries as well, and I can't generate salaries at the moment. With regards to another team for next year, there's definitely more than enough possibilities and more than enough people that I know that I could get to challenge for the title again. People that I know that I'm well connected with, people I know that would be interested in playing, even if it's just for the leagues. It's not like I'm looking to make a quick buck out of the leagues either. It's not that I want the money from them because I'm giving it all to the guys who won. I'm taking no cut because they did incredibly well and they deserve everything that they get.
It's just the legacy it holds within Void for yourself.
Some call it bad business. To me it's sentimental. It's like like you say, it's the legacy. It's the thrill of watching my team win something. It's I can't really describe it. I can't put my finger on it. It's something
more
that
of an emotional connection than a business connection. Something that means more to you than.
Yeah, it does mean a lot to me for the team to win. As much as it might not mean as much to the players because they're used to winning. I, with Void, have had a very in and out history. So there's been some things which we've done really well and succeeded on. Some victories with the Portuguese lineup we used to have been very, very sweet, such as beating Radiant when we used to have a lot of beef. That was really good. That's a highlight.
I never felt that one too.
Yeah. But now with the Val as well, it's just the beginning. I think people finally we've been slept on throughout the course of the year and previous times as well with regards to lineups and people who who wanted to be involved. And I think it kind of proves to the fact now that we have the capacity to get teams and players and help them and fund them and do the ways that we want to get these sort of results. And I'm always there backing as well. I'm well connected in the sense that I can help sort out any disputes that are there as well. So it's just a nice thing that it makes life easier for the players, and anything I can do that makes life easier for the players as well is just great for me. I'm not using Void has never been a company as such. It's never been something to make me money. It's been a welcome hobby, something to work on when times are hard and I want to distract myself. It's been a passion and an old friend at the same time. It's never been a company or a way to make money. I've barely made any money off of this, and I've lost quite a lot. But it's just something that I enjoy having there as a brand, and something that I enjoy working on. And it's just something I'm passionate about, even if it doesn't translate in the activity of the tweets and such.
And you sort of feel that obviously through the thrilling way you won the finals in general, loser bracket comeback to best of 5 wins. That was always a sweet victory.
That was sweet.
Alicia LMAO on Twitter, by the way, wrote an article about that on Esports Journal if you're interested in how they won that. So yeah, that's Void right now. We've been through your casting. We've been through the creation of Void. What's next for you? What's next for Void? What's coming up?
What's next for me? This year coming now for Black Ops 4, it's signed on with the esports universe. A lot of people will know this, that myself and Brody at the end of this year, end of the World War II season, signed on with the esports universe for this season because they have got some really, really, really good things coming, and stuff that I'm actually extremely excited for. They've obviously released their promo trailer today. I don't know what day it will be when this goes out, but the 21st of September is the reveal date for it all, and it is so good, and I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy it, and I'm going to really enjoy casting it with massive prize pools, really cracking teams, and good formats and everything as well. I'm very much excited, and I think so are a lot of people involved, with something we've been working on for a really, really long time. So it's been a long time coming. It's been in the pipeline for a really long time. And
is this something coming still, or is this the league?
Oh yeah, it's still coming. Okay. This is esports universe's stuff, and it's never going to be done. It's never going to be finished. It's constantly evolving. Project Genesis is what it's called, and it is just truly kind of groundbreaking for the AM scene. So I'm very much excited for that, and I'm very much excited to be a part of it and being the exclusive casters with Brody as well for it, and to be generating stuff like the Academy and a bunch of other side projects we're working on, like this throwback stuff that'll be announced very shortly as well for charity this year, just before Black Ops 4 starts, and we're excited to be with them, and that's where it stands for casting this year. Obviously, I've had contact about doing a few events. Such as the Esports Hubland that was supposed to be done. That was supposed to be one of my first events, but that didn't get enough signups or whatever. And I obviously know people who in high places who have been actually trying to get me stuff for the next upcoming European CWL event, if that does happen this year. Me and Brody, hopefully, if we keep working hard, might be there.
Stage. So the future's looking bright for Boffers in the future.
Future's looking bright for me personally. For Void, though, it's kind of just like I'll just feel it out and just do it as I've always done, which is just off of intuition and instinct of what I feel is the best next move and where I feel I want to go. I think it's going to be continuing to compete in these AM leagues for a short while until maybe things turn around and I decide maybe I want to go for this. Maybe I want to go for sponsorship opportunities and affiliations and stuff. And for the time being, it's just going to be whatever I want it to be. And I think that's comfortable for me and where I'm at in terms of a headspace and what I want to do with it. And I think that's good. I think it's a comfortable position, and I don't think it's anything that I need to press when I'm trying to focus on casting as well.
Yeah, obviously try and balance too many things and you're going to fall together, and that's obviously not the goal. You've got a lot of momentum right now, so that's looking good. Void, so are you looking to compete in the future season of AM? Probably not LAN yet, but
yeah, we've been to LANs and such. We went to Y62 like with the team and stuff. We went to Birmingham.
All right, okay.
I was there. We didn't do particularly great because it was just a quick team that I put together for it who wanted to go, and we did all right. We got through, I think, 2 rounds of the bracket, which was cool. And
Obviously, just seeing your team on LAN's an achievement in itself. Just seeing the vision make it to LAN.
It's interesting. It's certainly an interesting feeling.
Seeing it come to like real life fruition is
yeah, all of them wearing the hoodies and such as well. Yeah. It's a strange one. I wish it could have been the jerseys at the time, but yeah, they're just sweet. But yeah, we'll see what comes. I'm probably gonna try and get to a LAN next year, whether that be one of the UK ones that we have for the CWL or just any of the amateur ones that are going to throw up, because I know that a few different TOs and such are planning on organising LANs. So the future is bright for everything at the moment. I'm optimistic, and it's looking good. I've taken a year out of going to university to kind of do casting, as the course I was going to do for journalism fell through. They cancelled the course, so I figured, hey, why don't I just give this a shot for a year, find full-time work, which I've got, and in my spare time really make a go of this. So that's the plan, to really make a go of it.
So you heard it here, guys. Boffer's future looking bright. Void also looking bright. The Call of Duty amateur scene looking bright in general, and obviously going into Black Ops 4, one of the more anticipated games for a long time. I'm looking forward to it. You should be looking forward to it too. Make sure you check out ESPU. Make sure you check out Boffers himself. Please check out Esports Journal, and also a huge shout out to, one second, let me get this out really quick, Ember OTG for creating the overlay really quick last minute. Thank you for that. So yeah, guys, check out any articles that you may or may not want to see on the website. Obviously, this has been Abe. Check out my Twitter if you can do, and this has been Boffers. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.
Thanks for having me.